Happy Wealth Wednesday, Candace. I'm so excited to have you here today. You have been such a powerhouse in your life, and there's just so much to share from everything from being part of the US Army to being a Olympic athlete to now real trailblazer in the Web3 world, especially with women. So I'm so excited to dive in with you today. I would love if you could just kick us off with where you are in the world and what you're working on these days.
Yeah, so I am in Long Island, New York. And right now I'm working mostly on HerHouse and like Crypto Venus is an NFT project I'm working on. I'm running business development with them. So those two things I'm really working on and like passionate about right now.
So cool. I can't wait to dive into both of those. A big fan of HerHouse and Crypto Venus. So before we dive in, I'd love to just ask you the question we ask everyone, which is, do you remember what your first ever investment was, whether it was in traditional finance or crypto? What got you started?
Yeah, the funny thing is, I didn't really even know that I was really investing in crypto at the time. So like 3 years ago, I think there was like just like this ad floating around on Facebook about this new thing. And I started reading about it, and it was like a geospatial blockchain company. And the whole idea was like logistics. So with your phone, they're able to ping your phone and basically show you where the idea was like packages, where packages are, and you get rewarded with tokens. So I invested into them when they were doing like their first initial offering. And I did that about 3 years ago.
That's so funny. And so how did that end up going? Like what's your like kind of summary
Yeah.
of experience?
So the first, like, I invested and I thought it was like the biggest mistake, but it was like a small loss at the time because I did $500. And that's what they were asking for. But like there was such a lot of like hate around it where there was a Facebook page that said like, this is a scam. But last year or this year, their coins on Coinbase now. They have a successful app called Coin App. And then they launched XY Labs, which is what now I'm invested in. So it like was a really good learning experience how like companies take time to develop. So they're doing well.
That is so funny. All from a Facebook ad. Who would have thought? I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of people probably had like worse, experiences from similar
100.
things, but you definitely got lucky in that case. And so, like, how and why did you get into your space? Maybe just sharing like a bit of your story, right? Like, you were in the military, you're a US Olympic athlete. How do you end up, and what did you learn from those experiences that you're now applying in the Web3 world?
Yeah, I think like in general, I'm like a very like high risk person. West Point, I played soccer all my life. I got recruited by West Point, and I kind of was like, like everything about West Point is good. I'm like odds person. I'm like everything about West Point is great. Like it's a great education, great network. I'll get a great experience through the military. So that's why I joined West Point. I had no like idea that I wanted to be in the military or anything at first, but then it progressed as I grew through that. And then I played soccer through my whole life. And I got an opportunity to try out for handball for Team USA because they needed athletes to transition into the sport because handball's a emerging sport in the US. So they asked me to try out. So I didn't know anything about handball and I just tried out, made the team, and then I started learning the sport on the fly. Like when I played my first cap game, I hardly knew anything about the sport. So like that's like kind of how I lived my life. And then when I got out of the military, I was really interested in startups, which is another like risky space. So I started startups, venture capital, like that really interests me. I trade, I trade a bit, like I could trade on the stocks and Forex. So, because I guess like all risky things are very interesting to me. And then my boss, when I was working at my venture studio, she said we were building a music NFT platform. And that got me into the NFT space where I was like, what is going on here? So I started like exploring New York City and learning about the space. And that's what really made me jump into the space. And then HerHouse and everything else started.
I'd love to dive into HerHouse and Crypto Venus a little bit. What role do you feel like those projects and you in general play in the wealth space, and why is it important?
Yeah, so Crypto Venus is very much like empowering artists. Erica was freshly in New York City, started her art career, and was trying to figure out different ways to generate revenue so she could keep exploring art. And I came in to be like, okay, NFT space makes sense. Your collection is beautiful. So like, let's figure out how to sell that. So like I really like was like it really helped her and was able now she's able to be an artist full time. And then for us with HerHouse, we're a bunch of women founders who want to create like equity for each other. And it's so hard to raise traditional funds. So like through Web3, through DAOs, through NFTs, we're like exploring different ways to raise money, and then also through traditional ways too, where we're doing it together, which makes it better. We're having these shared experiences.
I love it so much and have been a big fan of HerHouse for a long time. We did a great event in
Yeah,
NFT NYC. What do you think has been the most exciting thing you've learned that you would want other people to know? And what are you most excited about now in this space? You know, going from NFTs, music NFTs, what's really exciting you?
I think the best thing I learned is the approachability in this space. Like we're at a time where everything's so new that you can learn new things, and also that you have access to all these people to have conversation and access to all these resources. Like obviously it's not so simple to like find the answers, but as you explore more, like a lot of people make all their documents open source. Like you could find different friends with benefits things, you find different things about GFi, like everything is like open, and you could just communicate with these founders too. So that's what I love about this space. And then like what did I learn is I learned that like you need to create networks to communicate, and that's the best way to learn. And that's why HerHouse was really created, because like me and Alexa wanted to increase our knowledge. So we're like, hey, let's have a conversation around a table. And then we invited a bunch of founders, and then that has grown into a WhatsApp group where everybody's asking questions constantly.
It's amazing how it can all start so small and then become such an amazing thing. Is there a person or a company or even an idea that's really inspiring you in the space right now, and why?
Hmm. Person or company? I think I think what C Club is doing is really interesting. I think we need more C clubs, but different verticals, where it's like shared ownership for the community to vote, but also like they're bringing in experts to educate on tokenomics, and that's something we need. So like creating communities around people providing resources and accelerators within the space is really interesting me.
I couldn't agree more. I'm a big fan. You've gone through C Club a while back, and they really helped us get to where we are today. Is there any advice that you would give to somebody getting started, whether in Web3 in general or as a founder in Web3?
Yeah, I think like my advice for like life in general is just jump in, because like you'll never jump in if you just don't start right now. And then like ask questions, like do your research, but then find good questions to ask people who actually know what you want to learn, and find those people that you want to learn from and connect with them. I think networking and just jumping in is the best option when it comes to like building something new.
It's so true. It's like the ultimate search. You know, forget Google. You probably won't even find a lot of the real answers on Google. It really reminds me of the founders roundtable that we co-led
Mhm.
together, because we just saw all these questions show up, and for so many people in the circle, they were really simple answers because they had gone through it before. But for the people asking it, they were really complicated questions that were hard to get to the core of. So just finding that community and just asking great questions can be even the most powerful research tool you have. I really love that. And
Yeah.
is there anything else we should know? How can we follow along with you personally as a founder and a creator and the projects that you're repping these days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super active on Twitter, but my Twitter is at Candy Kenya. And then like her house Twitter is more like where it's active. So that's at her house underscore IO. And we post events and everything on that. So you can find me on either one of those.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining today. We will definitely be following along and staying in touch. So appreciate you and looking forward to seeing all the great things that you build.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Candace.